Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We've got a Demi Burnett video. She calls the Texas school system a joke. We're going to get into this discussion because, to be honest, it's actually pretty relevant on a global scale, but for sure nationally when it comes to topics like critical race theory and all these terms that, when confronted, most people don't really know what they mean. I think what we all want, I think we all can agree, we want our teachers to teach the youth of America the truth about what went down in our world so that we can better learn from that and be better in this and that. So we'll get into all that. Do me a favor, follow me on Instagram at DNeals. If you want private membership content, go to patreon.com/Dave Neal. And if you want live stand-up comedy, you want to laugh a little bit, I got a show, Dave Neal and Friends, and that is going to be premiering tomorrow night. You can catch it live tomorrow night, Thursday night in Burbank, which is a part of Los Angeles. Or if you want, I'll probably tape this set and put it on the Patreon if you can't watch live. Now, let's get into it. It's a joke. Former Bachelor contestant Demi Burnett slams Texas education system, May 10th, 2022. Former Bachelor contestant slammed her Texas education, calling it a joke on her podcast on Thursday, May 5th. Demi Burnett, the reality television star from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, spoke out about her blind spots and how the education system in the Lone Star State failed her. On her podcast, Demi Goddess Burnett from Red Oak and her guest, Bachelor Nation power recapper and barrel scraper Dave Neal, both said they were embarrassed to Google what antebellum meant. Burnett noted how she wasn't taught these things while in school. Let's play the clip. Did I say I was embarrassed? Maybe I did. Let's have a watch. Kirkconnell, where I was with Rachel Kirkconnell, I was saying, look, I didn't know much about the Confederate stuff either. I grew up in Rhode Island. My education was clearly not that good. I'm willing to learn, but I'm not going to pretend for the sake of approving and appeasing all these other people like I knew everything that I didn't know what antebellum meant. I didn't know any. Oh my God, it's kind of a problem, you know, when you'll talk to people and they'll be like, I never did that, or I never said that, or I wasn't that way, and you go, let's not rewrite history, jackass. Okay, we're all born of ignorance, and we become sort of more evolved with time, experience, life lessons, and we need to embrace learning, growth, etc.
Me either. I had to Google it.
Yeah.
Which was embarrassing that I did, but what everyone's failing to acknowledge is the fact that they are trying to erase that part of history, so we didn't get taught a lot of those things. Like, in Texas history, it's a joke. Texas history is a joke.
Is it, Demi? Is it a joke? Well, let's check it out. Texas school systems ranked 28th out of 50 overall states. Not great, not bad, but, you know, the Lone Star, clearly they're not lone in the library studying, but 28's not the worst. By the way, the number one ranked school system, believe this or not, New Jersey, the Garden State. Who would have thought? Followed by Massachusetts, Florida, Washington. Florida? What? Washington and Colorado. That was a shock. Florida is good at meth production and good schools. All right, so, okay, don't trigger you. This is a CNN article. Confusion reigns in Texas as new law aims to restrict how race and history are taught in school. So we got all these new laws, right? Let's jump to this article. This is from the Dallas Observer. Beginning this fall, this is from 2019. Beginning this fall, this is when COVID was but a pipe dream. You know, we didn't really know much about it. The initial pathogens were just starting to cough their way out of Wuhan. Beginning this fall, Texas students will learn a fact that's as true today as it was in 1861. Texas, beginning this day, almost 200 years later, we're going to learn some information we should have known all along. Texas and the 10 other states that made up the Confederacy seceded from the Union over the issue of slavery. That's right, folks. And now everyone goes, well, it really was about states' rights. Kind of like how Roe v. Wade's, well, I really want the states to make the decision. No. Let's just call Roe v. Wade what it is. It's you want to not let women do, have a choice what they do with their body autonomy. That's what it is. That's what Roe v. Wade is. And that's what, because nobody who's against Roe v. Wade is voting for pro-choice in their state. So let's get out of the semantics. And again, that's relevant here because it's the same type of thinking that's like, well, you know, the Civil War was really about states' rights. We didn't want, no, it was about slavery. New state social studies standards for 5th and 7th grades require students to be able to explain slavery's central role in the Civil War. Previous standards adopted in 2010 downplayed slavery as the main reason Texas joined the Confederacy, listing it among a number of issues that led to the war after states' rights and sectionalism. So like I said, states' rights. Whenever you hear someone go, but my state's right, you go, oh boy, here we go. And now I don't know, the states should have rights. Like curriculum in school can be taught differently by different states, but what really happens is it helps you rewrite history. Because history, and again, we've talked about this a lot, our textbooks are a mess. We don't talk about indigenous history. We kind of talk about this sort of whitewashed Anglo-Saxon, Western European sort of colonialism. We have a certain type of history that's taught. We don't learn about another viewpoint of that history. And I kind of believe, and again, I'll get it wrong, critical race theory talks about like speaking to the truths of different viewpoints throughout history. That's such a bad thing? Should we be afraid of that? I don't think so. The change is part of a revision of the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS, the state standard for public schools. While the new 5th grade standard still lists states' rights and sectionalism as factors in the war, sure, they're factors. They're presented as secondary issues that emerged as a result of the expansion of slavery. The change represents a compromise between Democrats on the Texas State Board of Education, who wanted to elevate slavery to its correct place as the war's central cause, and Republicans who wanted to keep states' rights in the curriculum. Again, I guess that's a fair compromise. Yeah, talk about states' rights, but don't not talk about the main cause. Like, we're all on the same page, right? Leave a comment. We're all on the same page. And if you're not, this is a safe place for you to comment. You may get pushback from people who want to expand on why you don't believe that to be the case, but that's fine. Now, look, I'm 37. Plenty of people who grew up in the 90s like me learned different things about the history, and they learned about the Confederacy, and they didn't learn terms that we now know that are way more common. And that's okay to admit you didn't learn those things.
Our teachers are coaches. And the only reason there are teachers is because they have to be a coach. So all they care about is their football team. My history teacher, who I somehow had 3 different times, and all he was doing was getting older and iller. He told me the first time I had him, he told me his kidneys were the size of footballs. So that tells me this man is needs to retire soon. He was my teacher 2 more times after that, like moving forward. I was not held back. Like this was progressing. I was so confused. The man was asleep during every test. Everyone cheated on everything. We had all of our books open.
So how do you solve this issue? Well, it comes down to how you fund school systems. Right? You solve the issue by putting more money into school systems. I don't know. Maybe pull it off of one of those, missiles you bought. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. I know we're on the cusp of World War III. I get it. But so much money goes to waste in the industrial military complex and other places. I'll get into it, folks. Don't get me started. It's only a Wednesday. Listen, there's a reason why there's a teacher shortage in Texas and other places. Because you don't get paid enough to deal with the BS that exists. Confusion reigns in Texas as new law aims to restrict how race and history are taught in school. San Antonio, a new Texas law aimed at restricting discussions of race and history in schools, has some educators second-guessing themselves and foregoing civics-related activities to avoid running afoul of it. And my favorite Texas quote of all time comes from our friend Karen.
You cut the crap.
Cut the crap on this. HB 3979. One of the legislative efforts to ban critical race theory in American classrooms went into effect Wednesday as schools in the Lone Star State continued to be embroiled in debates over mask mandates. While some school districts are waiting for official guidance on what the law means for them, others are making curriculum changes out of caution. So they're saying, all right, look, we don't even know I don't want to get sued. I'm not going to talk, rip those pages out of the textbook. The law states that social studies teachers can't require or include in their courses the concept that one race or sex is inherently superior to another race or sex, or the concept that an individual, by virtue of the individual's race or sex, is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or unconsciously. Now, people will look at the extremes of this and go, I don't want my 7-year-old taught that because they're white, they're a bad person and all that. And it's like, I hope that's not the argument, right? I hope that's not what people think this is all about. It also notes that a teacher may not be compelled to discuss a particular current event or widely debated and currently controversial issue of public policy or social affairs. Teachers, according to this bill, can't require or give extra credit for a student's political activism. CNN spoke to nearly 24 school districts across the state of Texas about how HB 3979 already was impacting their plans for the school year. In College Station, some government teachers won't be asking students to take notes at city public meetings for a grade. Elementary school students in Leander won't be asking students to write letters addressing lawmakers anymore. In Keller, some resources offered online for students, including ebooks and news articles, have been temporarily removed. Officials at a school district about 30 miles north of Dallas decided to stop offering course credit to middle school students participating in a renowned nationwide civil engagement program out of an abundance of caution. So the question is, out of an abundance to caution, will teachers stop teaching what they believe to be is our history and how it applies to current politics and all that? Sounds really boring to me. It sounds like a boring curriculum to me if you don't want to talk about the truth and how it has been applied throughout. Now listen, these are complicated topics, right? I'm just a bloke. I got a business degree. I don't know. I don't even know what I don't know. You know what I mean? But when it comes to people like Demi and others within Bachelor Nation that talk about what they don't know, this is a good thing. Let's just finish up this clip. This is a good thing to even talk about our own ignorances.
The joke, and it was like that. Everyone can attest to that.
And it's good to have those examples because blind spots exist throughout our lives. I don't know what I don't know.
And it infuriates me that I was failed by the Texas education system. And I never am trying to defend it, say, anything except for, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm willing to learn. I didn't know better. And I never meant to do anything harmful. I'm not trying to defend any of my behavior ever. So I'm still why do y'all want me dead? Yeah. Why do y'all want me dead over this? I didn't know. Okay, Kanye West is out to get me. Geez, Kanye, why'd you do me like that?
So we conflate excuses versus explanations. And I really believe, with Rachel Kirkconnell's story, it's just trying to explain what actually went down, explain what she was possibly thinking or what event she was thinking she was at versus what the truth was, or at least looking back at it. And
a lot of it is I could see her being in survival mode of just this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to this party and not knowing better. But I don't know what she said about it all. I don't know what.
So do we want to live in a world where we're afraid to be I didn't know that wasn't a thing and we learn from it? Or do we just all pretend we're perfectly, educated out of the womb? Those are the questions. Let me know what you guys think. Follow me on Instagram at DNeal, stand-up comedy. I'll have clips posted, patreon.com/Dave Neal. More content coming your way. I've got new clips on the Dave Neal Show. If you want some non-Bachelor content, we're crushing it over there, folks. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.